What's my opinion on Craig Wright, Bitcoin, Satoshi Vision, and about the delisting on so many exchanges? Hey and welcome to today's video. My name is Julian. On my channel, it's all about making you crypto fit, which means talking about stuff like blockchain, decentralization, cryptocurrencies, also a little bit of entrepreneurship and some mindset. And today I want to discuss a bit of the things that have been not only happening over the past couple of weeks, but actually over the past couple of years. And for those that, I don't know, haven't been that long in the ecosystem, there has been a lot of stuff going on and a lot of discussions been going on, especially around who's Satoshi and Craig Wright claiming that he's Satoshi. And well, obviously forks, first in 2017 from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash, and then Bitcoin Cash into Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. So it's been all over the place here. And so kind of let's unroll this a bit. I think the very first time I got in touch with Craig Wright, I think it was in 2015. And back then, actually, for a former company of mine, he contacted us because he said that he could help us with some stuff, and at the end, we decided against that. But so that was really interesting, right? So that was kind of the first kind of approach that he came onto the scene. So that was really interesting. And then obviously we had all this huge discussion with the bigger blocks, SegWit in 2017. My theory of this is you basically have, two people with strong egos, that's Roger Ver and Craig Wright, who just really kind of felt, they really want to have more control. And then with Jihan Wu, you had someone who would lose a lot of money on Bitcoin having SegWit. So they kind of pulled together and they forked off. And then Roger Ver and Craig Wright got into a fight, and then they split off as well. And so now we have this coin, Satoshi Vision, that Craig Wright tries to have as Bitcoin. And and suddenly Craig Wright started suing people if they didn't believe that he was Satoshi. And so now it gets really interesting, right? So the very first question is he Satoshi or not? What do I believe? I'm not sure how relevant that is, but I'm going to give you my opinion. And then obviously, what do I think of Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, and was the delisting correct? So let's kind of roll this up step by step. Do I think he's Satoshi? Yes and no. So here's my opinion on this. First of all, we all are Satoshi, except for him. That's always a little funny pun. But actually, there's something. I always believe that Satoshi is actually a group of people. And that is, I think, the most likely scenario. And I think part of this group, and again, there's no evidence for this, but this is just what I've kind of seen, heard, all the meetings that I've had. To me, I really think Hal Finney had a lot of connections to Satoshi. I think Dave Kleinman had a lot of connections to Satoshi. And I do think that somehow Craig Wright was somehow involved there. Not as a main figure, but he was somehow involved there. And so that is why he claims so many things there, but he doesn't have the final proof. That's why he thinks he has some stuff, but he doesn't. So on the scale of him being Satoshi, I would rather put him on the not being on Satoshi, but this doesn't mean that I completely exclude him of not having any involvement at all. A little bit, I totally think so. Now, then I think Craig really has a bit of an ego problem, and he really wants to be in the forefront, and he just feels that this is kind of his thing, and he needs to do this, and so that's how he kind of forked off. And so what do I think of this fork? Doesn't matter if Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. To me, these are just altcoins that will disappear over time. They cannot compete against Bitcoin. It's ridiculous. The only people who are still shilling these coins are people who have a lot of money invested in them. It's pointless, right? So that's a totally bearish trend against Bitcoin in the long run. So to me, so what's my opinion on Craig Wright? Yes, he might have been involved some part. He was definitely not a key contributor. That is something I'm quite convinced of, that he could have been part with some small things, could definitely have been. Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, I'm very bearish on it. I think that coin is going to go down, but most Bitcoin competitors will do that. Bitcoin is just way too strong for that. Now the last thing, and that's the delisting of Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. And this is where I have a bit of a different opinion than most people. I personally think that the delisting was not conclusive. And it was not conclusive because there's so many shit coins out there, how many exchanges then called Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, that don't get delisted. And they don't get delisted because they paid money. So there's a pay-to-play system. And they delisted Bitcoin Satoshi Vision because there was no incentive to keep it on there. It didn't get paid. They forked, so they all made money there. And now kind of doesn't really matter to have them on. And so they have less stress. Obviously, doing a Q&A against the largest coin and say, hey, would you like Satoshi Vision to be delisted? Of course, you have, like, just by percentage-wise, you have over 50% of the people who are holding Bitcoin. Of course, they're all gonna vote yes, delisted, right? So this is ridiculous. You could try this with anything. If you ask anyone if they should delist, I don't know, any other of the other coins, as long as it's a smaller percentage, it will always get delisted because the majority says, yeah, let's make this coin die. So to me, this was the most centralized thing that I have seen in this entire ecosystem probably since the Ethereum fork in 2016, and I'm not kidding. To me, this was such a centralized move. How suddenly this industry concluded and said, you know, let's all delist. And to me, this was pretty insane to see and very selective in my personal opinion. Now, do I understand the specific decision? Totally. I would have not even started listing it, right? So I completely get it. But to me, it's not. This is not a congruent decision. They should have they should go to 99% of their coins and delist them. And this is, in my opinion, where, well, I would see a bit more critical than maybe someone else. Obviously, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. What do you think about Craig Wright, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision? What do you think about the delisting? Do you partially agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you like this stuff and subscribe. So with this, see you at the next video. Yours truly, Julian.